Good morning. Welcome to our live talk program. This is Lloyd Grubb here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our live talk program covering motivation on your Monday morning rise and shine. And this morning we're looking at a topic: Are you an adult yet, or are you a man yet? So we're looking at this topic here: Are you an adult yet? And this is what we're going to be looking at this morning as we look at a motivation for this Monday morning, the start of your work week. So welcome again, and thanks for joining me here. And let us go into our live talk program. Let's pray. Our Father who art in heaven, we thank thee again for the blessings of your word. We thank you, dear Father, for the blessings of knowing thee, and we thank you for the development that you encourage us to take seriously and to live out in our lives. May you be with us, we pray, as we study and talk together this morning. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So we're looking at this topic here. Are you a adult yet? That's the better way to say it. Are you an adult yet is what we're looking at here this morning as we do our live talk program covering motivation on your Monday morning rise and shine. This is an important thought or thought in my mind that it's a thought that is recurring. It reoccurs in your mind. And the thought is when you're dealing, either when you're doing something or when you observe another person, you would observe a certain behaviors as being childish. And you say, well, that's not something that an adult will do. And when I say behavior, I'm more talking about lifestyle choices, decisions that a person make in various different aspects of their life, the way they carry out their lives or the way we carry out their life. And it normally can teeter on the side, or it moves the scale on the side of childish or teenager like to adult. And so as we come up in life, we have to develop, we have to grow, we have to take on responsibility, we have to start to act in ways that are not like a child. A baby's born, they do what baby do, they just cry when they're in need of something, some type of comfort. And that's the only mode of communication. But as we grow and we get older, we start learning other modes of communication, and then we start learning how to take care of ourselves. And we also learn to have some self-control and to basically wait. And so in various different aspects of our life, if we do not develop, then we become adults that are childish or children-like in our mode of living. And so this is what I want to talk about here with you this morning here. As I say, there's many times you're dealing in a situation and you say, well, this person is not mature. And maturity, it is subjective. Male think one way about maturity, female think one way about maturity. And some people can be mature in one aspect of their life and very immature in another aspect of their life. Some people are very mature when it comes on to taking on certain responsibility like a job, a task. If they volunteer for something, they act very mature about it. Others have a very childish approach to it. Others have a very childish approach to relationship. Others have a very mature approach to it. But various different degree, it depends on the person. And as I say, it's something you can observe in yourself or observe in others. And when you deal with it, it jumps out at you that this person is like a child. Or when you're training a young person, you're training them with the intention that you want them to develop into adult and to be mature, adults. And so everything that we're going to talk about here is on that scale, how to be an adult or how to observe one's behavior and think, wow, that's not really adult behavior, that's more childish behavior. And so if our first text here for our thought, there's a few texts this morning here. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 15. Proverbs 22, verse 15 says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but a rod of correction shall drive it far from him. So foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Because a child is a child will do things very foolishly for multiple different reasons, which we're going to cover this morning here. And so because of the various different reasons that a child would do something that's very foolish, because a child's motivation is based upon not understanding certain things and not understanding a lot of things like time and place, and understand that certain things, the value of things, there's a lot of missing information in a child. Definitely a toddler, definitely a child. Should be less in a teenager. By the time a person comes up into the young adult, it should be less. But you could be dealing with a person that is in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're still behave as if they're never mature past 14. So that can be tough. So again, foolishness is bound up. I wouldn't say that it is bound up in a sense purposefully. The Proverbs, Solomon here is not saying that. He's just saying that's the reality. So if a child is gonna be expected, you shouldn't, savor it. You should just know that children can do things that are very foolish, so you don't lose your mind too much when you deal with children. You kind of understand. And so when you take out the rod, you're not taking it out because you're really mad. You're just taking it out because you understand it. This is the solution for the problem. There's no malice when you pull the rod out. You just know that okay, this is what will drive it out. That's the child can understand that. But now the question is, when foolishness is bound up in the heart of an adult, what happened? Because somebody said, well, wait a minute now. How does this work? Because if foolishness in a child, the parent is supposed to drive it out. How? With a rod. Well, when foolishness is in the heart of an adult, how does that get driven out? And I would put forward to you, here's the same way. So this is why the Bible really encourages us not to be foolish. Because a lot of the Psalms and most of the Proverbs deal with a foolish person. And in dealing with a foolish person, it's just trying to like beg and plead, don't be foolish, because what will happen is that the rod will drive it out. Now, somebody say, well, an adult person doesn't have a parent over them to drive out the foolishness. Yes, they don't. But life will send the rod to them, and they'll just have a miserable existence. As I say, you see a person that just have one pain after the other, week in, week out, day in, day out, pure calamities, pure problems. And you say, well, why they have so much crosses in their life? Why they have so much rods? They just keep getting hits. And the person say, I keep getting hits. Well, the answer is because you see, probably nobody didn't drive it out of them when they were young. So they didn't adult up and mature up. Or they didn't try to learn as adults and say, man, I didn't mature up. Let me go find some people. Let me start read the Bible. Let me start try to exercise some self-control, because I need to do something about this foolishness, because I don't want rods in my life. And the rods will come. The rods do come in the life. A lot of financial problems. Because when you're foolish, you make dumb decisions. And the dumb decision is based upon dumb thinking. And the financial rods will drive it out. A person will always be broke, always be in debt, always be in trouble, always be in turmoil and trouble because of finances. Social rods will drive them out. There will always be in fights, both verbal and physical fights. And so that's the way it goes, because they're foolish. You would not go to a prison and say, these are a bunch of wise men. You normally say, these are the dumb people in the society that they never matured up and get to a point in their life where they don't have the rods, and so they go to prison. The guards are beating up on them. They're beating up on them, and that's just how life goes. And prison itself is just a rod of correction. The police becomes a rod of correction. Because most of us, I say, what you notice what people call criminal behavior, most of the time is dumb behavior. Just people being angry or criminals, refuse to work, but they're going to do criminal activity. The rod of correction will drive it out. But somebody said, but Lloyd, I thought you're talking about a child. No, I'm talking about, are you an adult yet? Are you an adult yet? Also, when you think about the rod, you think about a person who normally is immature. Remember when I mentioned here about relationships, they're immature about relationships. And this is going to have a lot of hard knocks in relationships. They're going to have a lot of broken heart, a lot of fights, a lot of drama around them. They're going to get a lot of STDs because they're very impulsive and lack of self-control, and they're very foolish, and they're going to get a lot of rods, and this is part of the reality. So it is not change because the person is is um is grown. As I say, the person, you always have to think about the person writing it, because again, you can't meet Solomon, but you can read his story in the Bible. That's what's beautiful about him. Not everybody you get their full story, but normally the Bible kind of give you a little snapshot, and sometimes the Bible give you a whole lot of detail about the author that's writing the book. You kind of get a background of his psyche, that he's there. And there's a difference between the Bible. This is not he's not a historian writing something, cataloging. The person is writing a historical narrative, but he's there, he's present. It is humanity and divinity. That's why we understand the Bible. People said this is part of the reason why you can't accept the Bible. But this is one of the most beautiful things about the Bible. The author is there. You would want the author not to be there. So what am I talking about now? When you read Proverbs 22, verse 15, it is a young man that is very wise that wrote this as he got older. And you look at this, and he's writing it, and you could understand he had many kids, plenty kids. And these kids didn't have the foolishness of drive out of their heart. He himself grew up and lived a very foolish life. The wise man became a fool, and he got a lot of rods, a lot of whipping. And so when he turned back to God, he turned back to wisdom. Here goes the book of Ecclesiastes. So when you understand this, you understand that one doesn't escape this. One doesn't say, oh no. So, I heard parents comically say, they're serious, but I'm thinking it's comical. They say, oh no, I will never apply, they don't apply corporal discipline. And I'm like, yeah, a child's going to get some whipping in their lives. And I've never lived to see a child that was not disciplined that didn't get whipped in their life. Now, if the child is absolutely the image of, or the person that you put up as the example of somebody that is just absolute discipline as a child doesn't need that. But if a child is out of control and the parents refuse to do sensible, to communicate to the child that certain behaviors are not acceptable, and they will be met in worse ways when they become adult. That child normally grow up and they get whipping as they grow up. The whipping doesn't stop. And you know many people in your life that you can look at, you say, wow, man, this is unreal, the amount of whipping that these people get. And somebody said, well, are they children? And you're like, no. No, we're talking about adults here. People who are grown, have grandkids. And you think, wow, can anybody have more foolishness in the heart? And so then you realize that that's how life is. This is how it's supposed to go. So our aim is to love knowledge, love understanding, love wisdom, love Jesus. And we work those foolishness out, because every time we get rid of those foolishness in our lives, we're just getting rid of the whippings that come. We will get rid of the corrections that come. There's many people, as I said, you don't know anyone, and I don't know anyone that likes to be corrected, likes to be rebuked, likes to be told you're wrong, or told don't go in that direction. Nobody likes to be talked to. And so I think if you're one of those, you're like, I don't like nobody to tell me anything. Well, then do right. Mature up. Act like an adult. And you'll find nobody will have to come to you and talk to you. Because why would I go talk to somebody who have it together? But the people, I notice on the scale, the people who mostly, as the Bible talk about, like to do foolish things are the people who mostly don't like anybody to talk to them and tell them anything. Because they want to continue their foolishness, and they certainly continue the whippings. So part of adult and maturity, to me, again, is to be able to suffer through people talking to you. Be able to have your idea have your plans, have your action, whatever you're gonna do, and be able to somebody say, hey, I don't think that's a good reason. Here's the reason why. And be able to take that and be a man or be a woman about it and say, you know what, I'm gonna really think about that. Not the foolish answer people give and say, oh, I'm gonna pray about it. Because when they were gonna do the madness, they weren't praying. But all of a sudden you talk to them, they're ready to pray. Because if they were praying, there's no way that the spirit wouldn't communicate to their conscience to them. Don't do that. So here the Bible is simply saying that we want to be mature adults. And part of maturity is that we know how to take instruction. See, part of your training of your child, you train them to take instructions. You train them to listen to commands, listen to orders, and follow through. And there's many people who can't do that, so they sign up for the military so that somebody forced them to learn to take orders. So they learn to answer when they're called. They learn to go on a mission when they're sent on a mission and to carry out the mission. But you would say a child would have a difficulty with this, because if you say a child, when you go to the store, 5 blocks away, and when you pick up these 5 things, and the child come back, and you say, okay, where's the receipt? Okay, where's the change? Oh, the child go and buy something for themselves. Well, see, that's a child. That's not a mature adult. That's a child that can't do what they're told. They get easily distracted. You send them to the store, and 2 hours later they come back. You say, well, you were supposed to be here an hour and a half later. That's a child. What happened? Oh, I went 5 different places. You say, but that's not the thing. Well, I send you on a mission to go get some stuff at the store because I sent you on a time-sensitive mission. Stuff I was sending to you was to cook dinner. Now, 2 hours later, there's no dinner. We're all going to go to bed hungry because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So that's a childish person. They can't follow commands. So somebody says, you know what, man? I'm not grown. I'm 18. I don't know what to do with my life. As a child again. And not only I don't know what to do with my life and what I want to do in life, but I have no discipline. And nobody ever drive the foolishness out of my heart. So I'm still childish. So you know what, man? I'm going to go to the military. I'm going to go on a long sojourn, a hike. Probably I'm going to go through some hardship, go through some days of hunger, and probably it'll knock some sense into me. I'm going to need to find myself. Because I didn't get no orientation. I didn't know where's up. Because normally, when you apply the rod of correction, the person starts to know where's up because they start jumping. So Psalm 19 verse 133, Psalms 19 verse 133, next text here I want to share with you. And so, are you an adult yet? How mature are you? How much you bear responsibility? How much can you carry out command? How much can you behave yourself without somebody have to be over you, whipping you? Can you behave yourself without the police? Do you need the police? Because there's some people that need the police. If they don't have the police, they can't. They start acting up. And so they only straighten up when they see police or see somebody bigger and badder or tougher than them. They can't have self-governance. Psalms 119 verse 133. It says, order my steps in thy word, and let not iniquity have dominion over me. Now, you would say, iniquity having dominion over you is something to me that is more an immature person. Why I say that is that if you think about a child, the whole concept of being a child, whether it be a toddler, young adult, or a teenager, I should say at least. Hopefully by teenagers they start to figure it out. They don't really, you can't apply fully this text to them in the sense that this is an adult speak. Now it would be nice if a child, right, can say this text. Order my steps in your word, thy word, and let not iniquity have dominion over you. See, normally the child, the iniquity would have dominion over the child. That means they become stuck in a bad habit. Child, toddler, young adult. And the reason why, because without the parent there saying, don't do that, stop that, eat that food, get up now, go to bed now, the child would just crash and burn. Just imagine yourself when you were growing up, or imagine your child, not a bad child, not a good child, just any child, good or bad, behaving child, whatever. If the parents is not there to say, no, you can't have ice cream now, no, you can't buy this in the store, that child would be a child that would blow up credit cards as if they were on their own. Like they always wonder why superstars, the children that became very famous, always crash and burn and make a fool of themselves. Because just imagine a child, they're 14 and they're multi-millionaire. Their parents have to come to them to ask them for money, per se. I'm just saying. And just imagine now that child now, they can do whatever they want. Wow. You see? So that's why I said this text can't be applied to a child, because a child, iniquity would have dominion over them. It's an adult that would pray this prayer. Because now the adult is supposed to know, oh yeah, it's time to go to bed. No, it's time to put down that bottle. No, you shouldn't take that drugs. It's dangerous. No, it's not. You can't say those words. See, a child would just like, you ever see a child make fun of another child or an adult? They never know when to stop. They never know when to stop. But when the adult do it, you normally someone will punch them in the face. Literally, that's what happened. People are always like, oh man, this person is irritating. People see them coming out like, oh man. But you see a child, you'll be like, you're more, okay, it's a child. Yeah. And the parents normally will come and say, stop. Or the child will do it and start bullying another child. And there's a complaint at school and the parents have to go there and tell the child and the faculty, stop. You need adults in the room. But when you have an adult now that's don't know when to stop, don't know when to behave themselves, can't stop buying, and so they just keep running up credit cards. They don't know how, they're just always acting up. You will say, well, iniquity has dominion over this adult. But this adult really is not mature. It's a very immature person. You can't wake up in the morning and the first thing you're drinking is a soda. You can't wake up in the morning, you're having ice cream for breakfast. You never matured. You're still an adult in your diet. You can't just say whatever comes to your mind. How many people you've known, you can raise your hand, that, how many people you know that they just say whatever comes to their mind? And yet you're looking at them and thinking, you're an adult. I'm sure you probably have grandkids. You never learned to not talk when you were 12, 8. Nobody taught you this. So then you will say, that's childish. But you wouldn't say it's childish because you said the person is grown. So this is why he says, order here my steps in thy word. And let not iniquity have dominion over you, over me. But as I say, a child who is not mature, you're training the child to be able to, it's now time to go to bed. It's time for you to get dressed. You see, you wouldn't say that to an adult. But there's adults who, they start working, they have a job, and their boss have to be like, you're not dressed proper for work. And you would say, man, this person is misbehaving. But most people normally don't say, wait a minute. Didn't you learn that when you were like 16 or 14 and like you get up in the morning, brush your teeth? That's a good one. I'm sure you've dealt with people who turn up to a professional environment and you're like, does somebody ever tell you to brush your teeth? You're killing it here. You're killing it in a bad way here. It's like comb your hair, brush your hair, groom yourself. You normally say, are you a child? Like, I don't understand. Like, because normally this is what makes a person an adult. But it's tough when you deal with the adult and it makes it uncomfortable because how do you go to an adult and say to an adult, normally you come in this environment is great if you would have a bath, you brush your teeth, comb your hair, put on some decent clothes. And, if you say that, the person probably get very offended because they say like, who are you to talk to me like that? But I would be thinking, well, who is this person to behave like that? You're not like an 8-year-old. Oh, mommy picked up my clothes. Sorry, mommy picked up my clothes for me. Like, that's cool if you're 5 or 6. But when you start becoming a certain age, mommy picked up my clothes for me. What? Why? Why mommy picked up my clothes? I understand now because I know if some men listening, they might think, wait a minute, brother. My wife pick up my clothes for me all the time. Yeah, not because you can't, hopefully, but because you think it's cute. You just want her to, make you feel like you're a doll. And, cause women normally could sometimes behave like that. They want to, control the situation. So that's okay. But for the cuteness of it, oh, my wife picked up my clothes, and the wife like, doesn't he look good? Okay, but not because you can't. It shouldn't be your wife wake up in the morning and say, hey, I think it's time for you to go brush your teeth. Did you brush your teeth now? Okay. You wash your face. Go back in the bathroom and wash your face. Why? Oh, you didn't wash your face. Because a child is like, oh, I'm ready to play. So the child is just in a rush to play that the child can pull back and say, oh man, I need to brush my teeth. Oh, I need to, because the child wake up, it's playtime. But if an adult wake up like that, it's playtime. And there's many adults you and I know that they would party and then they can't go to work. They will party and they can't go to work, right? Immature. Because that's how a child is. Oh, I need to play. I need to party. So bearing responsibility becomes very difficult because, you just need to keep going. And this is a mark of a person who's not matured, because taking on certain responsibility and behaving a certain way becomes very difficult. It becomes a real challenge. Why? Because they didn't learn to a certain age. And then how do they do it? Now in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 7, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 7 is this text that we normally use to expand our thinking or to show us what some of the things are going to be happening in the last days. But I'm going to look at this text from a different point of view. So these texts, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 7, would best describe a child, not a man. So we normally say in the last days, perilous times will come because, and we go into it. That stands. We're still talking about perilous time come. But I want to show you how these characteristics and attributes are connected to immaturity. Connected. And if I don't get it 100% right, follow my line of reasoning. I'm just using this as a quick list that comes to my mind, and I can use this to solidify what I'm saying here. Are you an adult yet? Because I want to encourage you this morning. You say, what's the motivation here? The motivation here is to grow up, act like an adult, be an adult. That's basically the motivation. Can I say it more clear than that? And when you find somebody say, well, how that's going to make me better and be more successful? If you don't know the answer for that, you need to keep listening to the rest of the week. If you get, the more adult and responsible you can be and more self-governing, where you don't need anybody to wake you up and say, it's time to brush your teeth and get dressed, you're going to be successful in life. The better you can be of self-governance is the more because you don't need a boss. You just need to work. And it don't matter if you're working for somebody yourself. You get up, you get the job done. And nobody have to be there with a pitchfork, or like the devil have to be there with a pitchfork prodding you along. You're good. This is why I'm saying this. This know also, and I pull back one second time. If you find yourself that you're very immature, you're getting hits in life, it's probably you're going to need to go find a father or mother, somebody to sort of mentor you, because you need some mentoring, because you need to learn some life skills. You need to learn some philosophy to make you more mature so you can be an adult. That's the second thought. So for this know also that in the last days perilous time shall come. Why? For men shall be lovers of their own selves. So before I even go any further with that, lovers of their own self. You think about the populations with the least male mentoring, where there's a man in the house, or if there's a man in the house, he's busy doing something else other than taking care of his child, girl and boy. You notice the females normally literally turn out and go spoil real fast. And the boys normally get very criminal or violent, end up in prison. Almost can guarantee you go into prison, you talk to most of those young men. Most of them, not all of them, most of them will say, I didn't have a male mentorship. Nobody groomed me into becoming a man, a responsible man. When you think about that, lovers of their own selves. When we saw with lovers of our own selves, we will normally say a child love themselves. Their focal point is self. The parent could be you try this with your child. You're exhausted, tired. And you feel like you're about to get sick. You're coming on with a flu. You feel like somebody has just whipped you. Your body's beaten up because you were working hard to provide for the family. And you went to bed late. You went on a trip somewhere. You went to visit grandma. You come back, the child was happy. You say to the child, look, it's late at night. I'm exhausted. I need some extra sleep. Say it's Saturday night, or say it's whatever night. You have the day off the next day. And you say, look, child, I need 10 hours sleep. You can't wake me up. We can't wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning to play. Watch that child the next day. And that child will wake up. It's wake up time. And off to the races. And you're like, man, I got to get up now and take care of this child. Now, again, you don't need to beat the child for this, but it's just the child. It's not the child not in your mind. The child don't have even the discipline or the wherewithal to say, I need to wake up and provide my own breakfast and quietly go get a book and read. And then when you come out, you see the child say, oh, you're up. And the child say, oh, yeah. And not only I made breakfast for myself already, Ed, but I leave some on the stove for you. Or I put it away in the fridge so you can just warm it up. But you do want me to warm it up for you? You know what it is? Before you eat breakfast, I'm going to juice some orange for you and give you some orange juice. And thanks, Dad, for giving me a good night out with Grandma yesterday. Do you expect a child to say that? No. You expect a child to be reasonable like that? No. Not because the child is want to be bad. It's just because the child it's all about themselves. And they don't have the wherewithal because they're not mature enough to think ahead. But an adult is supposed to be able to have that. And supposed to be able to understand and say, yeah, my wife or my husband or my child, they're tired. I'm going to have to cancel something here, kick back a little bit, give him time to rest. Since I have the energy, I'm going to go ahead and prepare breakfast for them quietly. I'm going to go ahead and get something ready for them. And I'm going to leave them, let them sleep a little bit longer and tell them, yeah, sleep and enjoy yourself. See, that's an adult. Now, you take that into the work environment. It changes your work ethics. And you now become the adult in the job. Where others are like, I don't care. It's about me. You know, like, no, it's not about me. I'm going to take care of you. That's the adult. And that's the service. And when you think about in your life, when you have the best service, it's always a service where the person can think ahead and consider your needs before you even thought about it. They say, oh, yeah, no, I'll take care of that for you, sir. Yeah, because I know you're going to have this problem or that problem, so I already took care of that. Really? You feel so good, you're like, man, I gotta tip this person. I gotta say, hey, this person need a promotion. Because normally, that's how you do it. But selfishness is normally would be a child. But when you see an adult, you say that's a sin, that's an iniquity. Because why you as an adult, you don't know better than this? You don't want to think ahead, you don't want to understand my needs. Continue reading here. So lovers of their own self, covetous. You see, a child will not only want to keep their toy, they want a toy for another child. You say that's normal. You have to train a child how to share their toy or how to see another child with a toy and not grab the toy and take it from them. But when you have an adult, it makes peril because a person will see you with something and covet it. And you say, are you a child? How are you going to covet it? You see, if I see a person and they drive in a certain car, live in a certain house, it don't hurt my head because I've learned. in maturity that I need to have the money, have the career, have the family that can, die and leave the money for me. I have no ways to get that thing, so I don't worry about it. But a child will say, why can't we live over there? Man, child, a child would say that and make you feel like, oh man, I guess you would prefer to live somewhere in a larger house. But you don't hold it against a child because you say, that's a child. But when an adult does it, you say, what's wrong with you? You broke. You hardly make enough money to pay your bills. What are you worried about, luxury cars and stuff like that? Leave it for people who have it. I see somebody with a certain car. I'm like, God bless them. Because they have it for it. Hopefully, at least. Hopefully they have the money to do it. And when a person has the money to do it, it's totally rational. One thing I try to teach, especially young people, is that if you see a guy driving a certain sports car, or a guy or a gal driving a certain sports car, and they already have gray hair, they're balding, and you at 22 want to drive that same car, what is the problem with that? That person is in their late 40s, 50s, 60s. They're driving a nice sports car. You say you're driving in your mid-sized car, your subcompact car. You see the person go by in a nice sports car. And you see they go by with, a young lady that looks 20 years younger than them. And you say, I want both those things. I say, okay, but what's the problem with that? He's older. He's worked for all these years. He's saved up his pennies, and he's bought that car. You 22 want that car. You just start working. What's the problem there? It's covetousness. And so you're not a child. You have to mature up. Mature up and go there and focus not so much on the car, but on the process. How did he get to that place? But a child would look at it and say, I want that. Without no consideration of how to get that. And because of that mindset, there's so much trouble in our society because the more immature people you have who are adults and they're not adults yet, they will do illegal activities to get that car and get it today because they want it today. Instead of saying, I don't want that car, that girl. What I want is what that guy has to get it. And so what does he have? He has a stable career. He applied himself, he worked hard, and he got it. You can have it if you do the same thing. Don't worry about the car, worry about how he got it. How many hours you work, how hard he worked, how he applied himself. Covet that. As the Bible said, covet good gifts, but don't covet bad things because it's not for you. But an immature person will be like, oh, I want that. How are you going to get that? How are you going to get that? Boasters, normally, you can see a child, if they do something real well, they just start glowing. They can't control it. They can't say, I'm going to humble myself. And that's not a good thing, but that's okay. But when you see an adult acting like that, you say, man, mature up. What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? You're crazy? Again, proud. Similar idea. Proud as a peacock. And when you see a child doing that, you say to the child, oh, you look so cute. And they say, oh, yeah, my mommy and daddy bought these things for me. You're like, you laugh. It's fun. Now you see an 18-year-old, you're like, man, mature up. You see a 50-year-old, you're like, oh, man, this is embarrassing. You need to mature yourself up. This is why the Bible says when we accept the gospel, we become mature, we become stable, we're not blown by the wind. Blasphemers. Now think about this. Blasphemers, and I'll put this also is with the other word I'll throw in here, add to this, so to speak, not adding to the Bible, just adding to the thought. Blasphemers also when a person is irreverent. Normally, again, if a child says certain things that are crazy, it's a child. Your child will ask you some of the weirdest questions, coming from the weirdest places. And a lot of that is not based upon that. Sometimes the question is so mind-boggling. Sometimes it's just based on the fact that their reason is so childish. It's okay. But we have an adult who is a blasphemer, adult who is irreverent. Then, it is just terrible. I've been in churches where there's a child just they're crawling on their elbows, almost elbows on their hand, underneath the chairs, the pews, while service is going on. But if you have an adult crawling underneath the pews while the service is going on, You would say this person is a lunatic, is having some mental issue, probably having some post-traumatic distress disorder. They're probably hunting enemies on there or ducking from bullets. Or this person is I don't know what, it's just a irreverent. You normally don't see that in a, shouldn't see that in an adult. But yet you go places and you see the adult get up and there's a trail of candy paper on the chair following the person. Like the candy paper just falling off the person. And you think this person come to church is eat candy. And you now say, this person is not mature. It's the kids are you supposed to say, no, he didn't have candy in church now. But now you have adults who are like this. So that's why I ask the question, are you an adult yet? Because now it's going to be difficult to go to a 70-year-old person and say, I know you don't have any real teeth in your head, but I think it's not good to always be eating candy like that. Number one. And number two, I think you should give it a break in church at least. You're distracting the kids. Because you see that they'll be slipping the candy to the kids. They'll be slipping the candies to the kids right in church. And you say, well, we training the kids right or wrong. Disobedient to parent. This goes to adult also. Somebody said, well, adults don't have any parents. Yeah, but they don't kind follow leadership. Don't leadership. It's just uncontrollable. Nobody can be in charge. Nobody can tell them what to do. Nobody can talk to them. You say, you're mature? How you mature? And nobody can talk to you. Continue here, disobedient to parents. You can see that. So you see a child does this is not right, but it's not totally unreasonable. In other words, as an adult, we understand that children, not so much because they want to be disobedient to the parent or to you, it's because the child has other things that are going, the foolishness is born up in their heart. The child is like, oh, I need to play. I need to do this. I need to do, just keep going. I have more energy than the world can have in a reserve of oil. I just have a lot of energy. And so all of that bursted with them, and so sometimes they become disobedient, not because they want to be disrespectful. Because I want to do this, I don't want nobody to stop me. That's a child. But as a child is growing, you're training a child how to be more adult. But that's just what children do. It's childish. And unthankful. You can understand why a child. It's hard for a child sometimes to compute thankfulness. It's hard for them to appreciate, when you do hard work. It's hard for them to understand what amount of work going to whatever is being done. It's difficult. See, sometimes you don't know what hard work a person put in, but you can imagine it. But a child can't even imagine. They don't understand because they have spatial. I can't remember what it is, but like when it's a little toddler, they only understand what's in front of them. So if you have the doll in front of them or something, you pull it away on the back of them, they'll start crying. They don't understand where it went. But it doesn't mean that this is all gone immediately. You could have a child now, and they're say 10, 14, and they're still having a problem with that. They just know that the parents left and came back and the bills are paid. They fully don't understand how bills get paid, how food come on the table, how money's made. They're not getting it. Should at that age. And you could have a child at 18 still not getting it. So it's hard for them to be thankful and responsible. It's hard for them to appreciate and savor and respect hard work, because in their mind they're still not getting it. They're like a little baby. And then you have adults who they do this and they're unthankful. They're like, wait a minute, you don't understand the amount of work it takes to do this little task? Wow. So they become very critical. And this is what you see when you say, to me, when you see, as I ask the question, are you adult yet? People can be very critical because they like to criticize hard work, because they don't understand many times what goes into it. Unholy, this is why I would tie again to irreverent. A person is unholy is also irreverent. They can't reverence anything because they just don't get it. So as I say, a child, if a baby cries in the church, not a problem. If a toddler cries, so much not have a problem. You still want to put them somewhere else. So just for everybody else to be able to continue without a disturbance. Then a teenager acting up. That's an immature. You ever see a teenager that come to church and they're puffing and they're huffing and they want to blow the church down because it seems like the parent forced them to come to church? Immature. Immature. See, but as an adult, you know that sometimes you have to escort or go with somebody, your spouse, your children, somewhere that you don't really want to be. But as an adult, you're supposed to go behave yourself, greet everybody like, oh yeah, that program was so nice, yeah. But the person don't want to be there. But they just go along because it's expected as an adult that you understand to go along. But a teenager be like, I don't want to be here. And they want to create a scene. And it doesn't mean that it's right. It just means that you understand that the child is still learning. Shamefully so, but the teenager is still learning how to behave themselves. Or that the parents didn't apply Proverbs 22 verse 15 to them when they were younger. So they didn't know how to sit down and shut up and just keep quiet. Somebody say, oh, how can you say that? Without natural affection. So that's understandable. A selfish person can't have natural affection. You expect an adult to be able to have that. They should understand. They should be able to appreciate and love certain things. Truce breaker. A child under pressure will crumble. You don't expect a child to face battle. This is why, for the most part, I would say, when there's a war, they keep the women and kids back at home and they send the men out to war. But normally, if the battle gets tough and a grown man starts running from the battle because he probably gets shot and killed, you normally say, what does it say here? You a truce breaker. You make a truce that you will defend all, against all enemies. I know the enemies coming, you running and you leave us to get mowed down. So again, a person make a pact and they can't keep it. You see, you're immature. When the going get tough, they run out of there. Again, as adults, we learn to be able to not be so childish in our behavior. But when a child does this, you understand. False accusers. Child would do that. Child would blame. I didn't do it. He did it. Because the child don't want to deal with what's coming. But when you have an adult, oh man, you know this. When you have an adult and every time something goes down, they deflect. It's somebody else's fault. It's not my fault. I'm never going to say I'm wrong. It's just always deflect. They never can just man up and say, yeah, I did that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. It's not. You see, people always think is the doing the wrong is the problem. It is a problem, but the bigger problem, if you study the Bible, you deal with people from a human to human point of view, not between us and God, but us and God and us and each other. It's not so much when a person does wrong, as when a person can say, yeah, I did something wrong. I'm sorry. People will believe that, oh no, you don't want to forgive. You don't want to forgive. It's the person never asks for forgiveness. They're trying to deflect. They're trying to blame somebody else. And you normally see kids do this. Kids will, I didn't do it, or they will they will give up the other kid because they're afraid that's how they get punished too. Like, so if you want to break, you say, well, everybody getting punished. And oh no. But you expect an adult when they say everybody's getting punished, they'll be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. We all get punished. But I ain't giving up my friend. I always say that's more adult behavior. So false accusers, incontinent. Incontinent is a baby would be incontinent. So when a child's getting a little bit mature, you don't expect them to pee their bed. And so, but as a person getting weak and older, then they become incontinent again because they can't control their bladder. But you expect a child to be able to control their bladder. Also, you expect a child to be able to don't touch. Don't put your hands on anybody. Neither for play, for joking, for violent reasons. You don't touch somebody. It's an assault. Whether it be physical or sexual assault. But when you have adults who don't know this, then this is why I say the end times is what it is. Because people are incontinent. They have no self-control. And that self-control should have been trained into them primarily when they were younger. You look here, don't touch. You don't go into the store and start screaming because you can't get that toy or whatever on that cookie. And if you start screaming, I'm going to give you something to scream about. And the child learned to look at the thing and walk past it. And that's a child that you have trained or disciplined or whipped into not being a thief. They go into the store, they see things, they don't pull it off their shelf. Because again, they have some self-control. But you have adults who can't see stuff and not touch it. They see something, they're like, that looks good. I'm gonna touch it. And this is why you see all these adults with sexual misconduct being floating around in the news. They have no self-control. They can't see stuff and say, oh, that look good, and move on. Because it looks good, you don't need to touch it. Fierce. Again, this kind of angry people who do damage. No self-control. Despisers of those that are good. Because they're so rotten. The more rotten a person is, the more they despise those who are good. Because what is normal behavior? We ain't talking about even conversion here. We're just talking about normal behavior would be repulsive for them. Because they're so just think about a person who lives in all these characteristics, like a little brat. And a child come around who they're like, parent call them like, oh yeah, and they just go to the parent have to call him 10 times. The other child gonna be, oh, you're good at two-shoe. Like, no, I'm just trained. I trained that so when I hear my name, I answer. I'm not a dysfunctional, rude child. So that child is just going to grow up not liking anybody too good. They don't want to be around. It irks them because their behavior is so immature and rotten that a mature person is going to irk them. See, as I say, a mature person going to understand. Oh, they understand, the connections of life. They understand this. So because you understand certain things, you can plan ahead and be of good service. An immature person can't be of good service. This is why they always say good help is hard to find. But it's not good help is hard to find. It's finding people who, after they've left their parents' home, they understand service. They understand how to be a mature individual. So they understand. We run a hotel here. People are about to go out in the morning to their jobs and whatever. They're visiting from out of town. So we normally provide a breakfast for them. So they don't have to leave from a hotel, go find a restaurant or somewhere that's open in the morning and get breakfast. We just provide a breakfast for them. So at, say, 7 o'clock, we need the breakfast out. So the person, you see, an immature person going to be like, so what time you need me to get here? Well, you need to cook the breakfast and have it ready for the guests at 7. I could tell you what time you need to get there, but if your parents had trained you, you would have known what time you need to get there to get up and get breakfast going. You just need to get here in time to get breakfast going. So what time do I start? You start when you come to get breakfast going. You turn up at work, you get breakfast going. See, when you have, but an immature person be like, they want to get there at 6:45 to get breakfast going. So by the time they crack 2 eggs, warm up some milk, have some milk out, set up the cereal, whatever, cut out the bananas and get out the stuff. Sorry, 7:30, 8 o'clock. They're immature. And then they have to fight with them. You see, but that's supposed to be training to the child. So this is why I believe as a parent, if you have children, the moment they start hitting their teens, they're supposed to be able to get up and get your breakfast ready. Start a thing on you. And that child in the teenage years would ready for independent. They'll be independent, ready to live their own lives because they're trained to function. But there's adults who have no sense of tomorrow. They just live for right here and now. They're not thinking about 5 years down the road. They don't plan ahead. And so when life happens to them, it's always a blowout. It's always a beatdown. They never knew what this was going to happen. Like, oh, you didn't know it. It's one thing to know it was going to happen and you say, well, I purposely did certain things and understand and now I'm facing the consequence and we're good. Or we need some help, but, we kind of knew this could have happened. But to be like, oh, I'm shocked. I can't believe this is happening. Oh, I said this thing to a person and they said back this thing to me. How could they say that thing to me? Because you're a child. You don't know if you say this to a person. If you say it 100 times, these people are sometimes shocked. Like they will say something to you and then you say something to them and they say, oh, how you a Christian saying that? Are you stupid? You crazy? You say this to 100 people, 99 of them, if probably not 100, will say back something to you. You don't know this by now. They didn't train you this when you were a teenager. So then it's important then, if you're in this type of situation, for you to seek mentoring. Just seek some help. Go buy some books. Do something to try to learn to be an adult, because what happened, you probably never got trained. Your parents probably raised you like you were a child your whole life or a toddler your whole life. And they were stuffing candies and burgers in your mouth your whole life. and you never got any discipline in, and you never learn how to serve. And so now you're coming to adult, now you're going to work this morning, and it's going to be hard because every day you'll be asked to serve somebody, whether you own a business or you work for somebody. And you can't get up and just serve because nobody didn't train you. So you go learn to be a servant. You go study Christ and study especially the part about him where he just serve. Just read all the texts that talk about him, what he do. Skip all the other ones. Just say, this year I'm going to study about Christ as a servant. And then when you finish Christ, go study Paul as a servant. Then go study David as a servant. Moses as a servant. And you start to realize one key thing about all the righteous, the saints, is they serve. They're the Dorcases of the Bible. They're the people who serve. The people who are always the rebellious evildoers in the Bible are always people who are selfish. The King Sauls of the Bible. The Judases of the Bible. They're betrayers. False accusers. Incontinent. Because it's all about them. It's not about anybody else. So true success. You want to be successful. You're going to work this morning. You're going to be successful. Your success simply come with one word: service. Now you learn skills, but no matter how good your skills you learn, if you're not a servant, you will not be as successful. And if you're successful, it's because you're doing something crooked to get that money. It's not true success. To wrap up this thought here, it says traders, you can understand why they'll be traders: heady, full of themselves, and they're silly. High-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. They have a permanent smirk on their face, and there's always something trying to smack it off. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away, and they'll never be servants of Jesus Christ. From this sort are they which creep into houses, and lead captive silly women laden with sin, and led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of truth. Reason why? Because you have to, somebody who is truly not a mature person, they're not going to lead away a mature person. They're going to lead away silly women. A guy that never mature up, he's not going to go and find a person that's industrious, hardworking, sensible female, and they're going to become life partners. That would just be hell. It would never work. They have to find very silly people to find themselves with and make a fool of, because they ain't going to be no serious relationship, because they can't. They don't know how to be a man in the house. You show me a person that's not mature up beyond, say, 12, and you show me a person never be a man in the house, never know how to lead his family, because he's a child. So that's why now in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11, 1 Corinthians 13, verse 11, Paul here, who is a servant, if you ever met a servant, I would say, by God's grace, we look up to Jesus, we look up to Paul. We want to be servants like these men. These are true men. Paul here says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. See, when you're a child and you think as a child, that's okay. When you're a child and you understand things as a child, and somebody says something to you, you're looking up, your mouth open, and you're looking up in the ear, you can't get it. You have that like bewildered look at your face. That's okay. But when you're a man and you're a grown adult and you still have that vapid look at your face, you still have that stupor over you that you can't understand, because you haven't put away childish thinking. You still keep understanding life as a child, and you have not put away childish things. Put away those toys. Put away the toys. Don't be lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. Start to have as a toy a screwdriver, a wrench, an equipment. That's your new toy. You're now a man. Act as a man. Start to take on responsibility. Start to become a head of a household. Start to lead your family. And that's what it's called for. And this is what we're so missing, because there's so many people that have joined to Christ, but they have not learned the basics of Christ. Christ get up when it was way early in the morning and he started his day. He didn't have to have somebody get him up and say, hey, Christ, time to start working now. And he's like, oh man, I'm going to have to do this. Not one more day again. No, Christ, no. I have disciples, I have people responsible for me. I have 12 people working for me. At one point, you have 12 plus 70, 82 people working on the payroll. So you have to get up and get going. But as as they say, suffer as he learned through his suffering, and he did it, and he overcame. He overcame as a man. And so he's saying, you can be as a man and overcome as a man. This is my encouragement to you. So are you an adult yet? If you're not, start to learn of Christ. Start to get some adults around you. Start to think, how do I mature up? I start to act, not act up, because children act up, but start to act as a man, act as an adult. And God will bless you. And as I say, you'll be very successful in this life. Whatever your hands find to do, you'll do it with all your might. Let us pray. We thank you, O Lord, again for your love, the mercies, the blessings, the word that you give to us. We thank you, Lord, for your call for us to be grown, to be adults. May you be with us, dear Father, as we follow thee. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless to you who aren't here. May you continue to walk with the King.